We lived in the trees. Why it looks melted. Part 5. So, I'd like to add that this is like one of the Realm of Nature series, which includes like the endings videos, the Buried in Ash, We Lived in the Trees, obviously, are kind of like all relevant to this, this little series and stuff like. So there's all like lots of information which is like added, to contribute to this and stuff like. But really, you're better off watching them in order and stuff like from earlier videos and go through them and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, it's like the title would be too long if you included it all. But so anyway, you get mountains like this, and it just looks like a pile of rubble. I think I mentioned that before and stuff like. It's like whatever this were, and it looks like there's evidence of a tree. You know what I mean? You can see like that column shape blocking and all that kind of stuff. Like it's really faint, and it's only a small picture. I'm zoomed in at stuff, and it goes blurry and stuff, doesn't it? But you can tell what it is with it being like a buried in ash. You know what I mean? Like that idea of like a crane dumping all this rubble down, and that's why it's kind of peaked like this. You know what I mean? It's like, how did it get there? How did that, the ocean didn't wash it up into a pile, you know what I mean, and stuff like. There's no reason for these stones to get there. You can see that they fall down, all these kind of things and stuff like. So the alternative of the tree used to be there and now it's all crumbled and all that remains is the ash. Not all of it would petrify, you know what I mean? It's gonna like, there will be chances of stuff or parts of a tree which don't petrify and that just turns to soil. Like I'll show you later actually. So it depends on it. I mean, you got a lot of soil amongst this, but a lot of that could be from like all the ash and all that kind of stuff, all the debris. Everything's breaking down in it over time as well. So any stones that's broke down, and individual grains of sand which have come off it and stuff like, all contributes. You know what I mean? Over so much time, we can't really see the ash. You know what I mean? It's just part of the mineral substance in the soil kind of thing. But maybe that's like, to do with like stalactites and stalagmites, all that kind of stuff. Why they form and all that kind of stuff. Like, if it never had that layer of ash over everything, maybe you wouldn't have stalactites, Or maybe they'd be different, not as. It depends what minerals are within them and stuff like that. I mean, you'd probably still get stalagmites, but maybe it just made them more prevalent, or contributed to them a lot more and stuff like. So, yeah, the amount of ash waste which is buried the tree, it's like a lot of the tree stumps we looked at, they weren't buried, It's gonna like, some of them are, but some of them aren't. It depends on the tree and stuff like. How much ash it leaves and how much will burn up and stuff like. So with this, it's loads. You know what I mean? The amount which is buried and stuff like. So, and even in background, you can see, can't you? There's like rock formations, and then you got, it's all buried. So I'll go on to the next picture. I did show this one before on the last few, but I thought I'll, come back with a rolling start in that kind of sense. You see like all the ash waste there, it's similar to what we, that previous picture and stuff like, all across here. And most of it will become nothing, you know what I mean? It's going to bury itself basically and stuff, and disintegrate. And, just so little evidence of what it used to be, you know what I mean? Again. So this is where we were. I can't zoom for some reason. Oops. There we go. So yeah, you got all your wood grain, all this kind of stuff. But then on inside, yeah, we did discuss it, didn't we? Because you've got all these smooth areas and stuff like where flames or the scorching hasn't got to. Because it doesn't have to be the flames; it can just be the heat which burns it, can it? Then you got all the patterns here. You can see like these patterns are a little bit different to these. That looks more like viney, you know what I mean, and stuff like it's got like veins going through it in a sense and stuff. And this is more like brickwork and blocks. I still can't zoom in. It is zoomed in, but it's not fully. You know, I haven't got the control of it. So you see all these patterns and stuff. Like I think I mentioned actually, you know, it looks like buildings or whatever and stuff like, and if it were like squished and all these misshapen and all this kind of stuff like, and again for it to be laid on this side, you see all flames at top, and all the heat is going to be at worst at top. So for us to find a lane trunk, it'd be kind of really difficult. It's two sides, you know. It's got to petrify. If it don't petrify, it's going to decay. If it does petrify, it's going to get buried and all that kind of stuff like. But much more likely, it's going to get burnt out, and then you'd have this at side. You know what I mean? And then that'll be petrified and buried, etc. and stuff like. And then you got to discover what it is and figure it out and stuff like. We looked at debris, didn't we, last time? You know, I wish I'd filmed it whilst I was looking. You know, but whilst I was getting the pictures online and stuff, looking it up. Right, how's that look? My screen's not very good on my phone. I need to get a new one. So I can't see it as well as you can. But for how my phone's showing it. But it's like stuff like this, right? You could look at that and think that that was like a cliffside, a mountaintop. Oops. That's this side. You see what I mean? It's difficult to tell the scale. You could show somebody that as a picture and say that this is a mountain, or, you know, and then you've got all of that, you know, that ballooning marshmallow brick type stuff. Down here you can see where it's a stump and stuff. But it's not giant. But it does look quite big from there and stuff like. Alright, so sort of textures, colours, shape of it, all that kind of stuff like. Because I mean, like that, you get like this kind of structure, all that kind of thing. And then, you know, like looking at the edge, it's kind of like building-esque. All debris that falls down and stuff and buries itself. No, it's a jag up like this. We've got loads of them. And for this to be caused by a fire, you know, it's showing you the same resemblance and stuff. You know, if it were cut down, it'd look like that, wouldn't it? Which a lot of them do, but we've got a lot of mountains like that as well. I see ballooning. I see a lot of cracks on it and stuff. You know what I mean? It's cooler there. You can see there's no burn on that side. It's burn on underneath side. So you got your cracks are much more significant on that heat area and stuff. I'll have caught fire after, you know what I mean? The flames will be going over and stuff, but typical mountain shape again. So it's flattened its top off. It's got all these little spikes. Most of them are like charcoal, ash, you know what I mean? So, like I said, weathering and stuff like anything easy to wash off is going to come off, and then you can have whatever's remaining and stuff like. So there is that potential for them to be like flat and smooth. It doesn't have to be perfectly flat. It can be at an angle, or it just depends on how it's burnt. You know, wind direction and when rain has got to it and stuff like that kind of thing. Again, like a typical flat top. You got all of this indentations, how it's all broke away and stuff. Oh, and the discolouring, which is significant. It's like significant. So similar to the what you get on the cliff sides, mountain sides and stuff, and rock stained. Has it not been burnt? Oh no, I think it has actually. You can see it's not been burnt here. Or maybe it's weathered off. You know what I mean? That's one potential. You've got all these burn marks here. And other typical shapes we find. See how it breaks up. And also like the tree rings that we see, which is important for some pictures coming up as well. But like that one, there's barely any debris from it. Like all the ash and stuff, like most of it will have been carried in air and just blown away or whatever and stuff like. Whereas, you know, it depends on the type of wood and how it burns. You know what I mean? Like you get smokeless fires and stuff, don't you? You know, you get stuff which gives less ash as well. So yeah, we've got a big log. All fires died out. It's been rained on or whatever, I don't know. But you're seeing it, you see all wet ashes and stuff like that kind of thing. Like I say, it'll just wash off or whatever. And then you got all this big arcing piece here, which is gonna like, it's still preserved. You know what I mean? There's no burning to it. So you know we've got that potential. You know what I mean? Not the entire tree has to burn and stuff like. But as we come down here and stuff like, you can see all that, all scorched out, and then to the bottom, you got your typical rubble. See your chunks of charcoal, which are like buried in ash. And then like even like your little bits down here and stuff like. So within that piece of charcoal, it might not be fully burnt out, and then for that to get buried, and you know we're left with time and all these kind of things, offers to like the petrification process and stuff. Again, surrounding area, all this kind of stuff. Again, tree. See, it's like bottom's like disintegrated. So rest is like just like starting to slump. As it softens and stuff, like becomes weaker. Oh, that's quite solid and stuff like that kind of thing. But as it's like there, it's like it looks like it's spread out kind of thing. Inner side of the trunk, and it looks like it will cut down and the burning trunk out under. But we've got a lot of places like this, a lot of craters which stick up out at ground, and then there's like a load of land within it which is higher than the surrounding land. So it's like the craters, you know, it's embossed, not ingrained. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So it doesn't make sense for all those craters. We looked at that one before. This not burnt as far as I know, but again, just for like comparing, because you see burnt ones, but it's also important to see like non-burnt ones. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you're like looking at the Meltology buildings and all that kind of stuff, and you're making comparisons, you've got to include the non-burnt aspect. Or say if it were burnt and this is just what remains underneath that layer of charcoal, like smooth and it depends how deep or how hot the fire were, because it might have made like those, you know, those scorch cracks that it kind of creates and stuff. Depends, because it's not going to go in all the way through until the heat has gone all the way through it and stuff like that. But yeah, so all this is like broken away. We can't see its surface anymore, can we? We can see layers. But because it's all broken like that, it, you know, you never would have identified it as a tree, would you, and stuff like. I suppose like furthering on that is like the coastline, because if we were like saying that the mountains are buildings, then this would be a good place to look for it, where the water washes away anything that's getting in the way and stuff like that. So like the ash waste, sand, all these kind of things. And then you like just looks like part of the tree, especially like this bit here and stuff, like how it reaches out. And you know what I mean, you can see that shows that goes, you know, through there and stuff. It's buried, you know what I mean, you can't see the shape of it anymore. You know, the ash waste and then vegetation following up and stuff like. All the sand, which contributes it to it all as well. So yeah, you can see it going in, can't you? You get these coming out. But what were above there is broken away, so you can see it even that high. So that's as high as grass, you know what I mean, and stuff like. And then, you know, again, everything's buried, so we can't see most of it. But these are all over, and they don't all look the same. So again, that you can't really tell and stuff, but you can see the layers, the tree rings. I think they're built upon it then, you know what I mean, and stuff like. It's since, isn't it? It's more recent and stuff like, but obviously it's not part of the building, part of the mountain. You can see these pockets. Now, like I said earlier about like you'd expect the front to burn away if it's all made out of wood and all that kind of stuff, and this is a potential example of that. If these were all rooms within it, it could have been like that wide, you know what I mean, and came round and stuff like, you know, so it was quite deep, you know what I mean, for like a room there and another room in front of it before you got to like the outside windows or something, say, you know what I mean, in that kind of way. And if it all burnt away and you've just got this remaining, and then they're built on it since. And, you know, it's like there's so many different examples. I can't say it's right for all of them, or even this one, but in the sense of like offering that like a hypothesis for it, you know, I mean, there's so many examples. Like when we do look at melted buildings and stuff, and other meltology claims of melted buildings, then you know, we can have that speculation and stuff like. It's like I said, it would be much better to actually see a lot of these places and, you know, get the aerial view or helicopter rides or balloon rides or anything like that, you know. You know, to gain a better picture and stuff like. You got all these here. All follow a pattern. They're all slightly different though. You know what I mean? They're not made exactly the same. Like if they were built originally and all that kind of stuff. Like we all have that though, a ring round the top of them and stuff. I see this. This looks buried. And you've got like loads of them stuck up separately. You know what I mean? Like individually. This is an aerial view, which offers a lot in a sense. You can see these same mountains and stuff like. These ones look bigger and stuff like from this point. Obviously that one's bigger. And at this point, because it looks like, you know, the land's just falling away from there, right? So, but we've got obvious structures. You know, some of them look like, you know, I don't know, go back to the other one. You see like them little mushroom stood up and stuff, that kind of thing. They look too specific, you know what I mean, for it to be just worn away land and stuff like. So, next picture. Here we go, we've got a better example with this one. So you see it all. You got your flat land, and then everything starts falling away. But it's all clustered around these. So when you come over here, you can see all these towers stood up on their own, as if they've got nothing to do with all that. Like, the land weren't there and it fell away, because there's no else there, you know what I mean? So they're potentially like trees or fungus or whatever, you know what I mean? And then as we're going into this area, this was more like the forested part of it, and then you've got, you know, your offshoots growing externally, you know what I mean, and stuff like. And you got another patch of it here. It seems like, you know, potentially a river that ran through it and stuff like. It looks like there is a river that goes through. But if that forest set on fire, it's quite a dense forest of whatever that plant is. And that is pretty much the height of them, you know what I mean? They could have gone higher, you know what I mean? They could have been quite tall and stuff like more in the centre of it and stuff. But because it all burnt down, and then afterwards you've got all your burial of ash, and then your flood, and then that's going to smooth everything off. So then that's why it looks like this in that kind of sense. So that's why everything looks like it's fallen away and why it's smooth and flat on top and stuff like. It looks burnt. I can't remember what else I'm going to say about it though. You got these. Like, we're looking in Ashtray, and we're finding, you got solid blocks, and then you got blocks like this. That looks more like your charcoal block. So all the charcoal's washed away, and you're left with the heat scorched cracks that it leaves in it. Here's another example. See, it's all turned to sand. So maybe it weren't fully petrified. You know what I mean? So it's like broke down and turned into soil, then into sand. But you've got all your cracked, scorched areas as well. So it's just like a piece of ember which were in fire, buried amongst the rest of the ash which is surrounding it. See, that one's got some marks on it. That one looks okay. You know what I mean? Maybe it's all the externals washed away from it and stuff, kind of thing. The charcoal. Another example of it there. Entrance to a cave. You've got your columns. Again, it doesn't look like a military building, but part of a tree system, it looks like. You got these. It's showing that same scorch marking, them cracks that it puts into it. And you get it at the top of a double tower. Canary Islands, where you had the what's it called, the hexagon pillars there as well, and many other photos which have shown. So that's what it looks like. It looks burnt. These are your rings in between it. And you got your ankle part of it there, and then that part. You know what I mean? You can see how it's branchy. You know what I mean? How it's growing off something, and then it's going to come up and turn into whatever it is and stuff like. More of these. But again, you got like that same typical stump which is burnt down. The same with this in a sense. There's another one. Your typical scorch marks. And the ground. Like, typically scattered with whatever's there, kind of thing. The pebbles and stuff like from the fire. So tree rings burnt to a curve, you know what I mean? In that kind of sense, it's got like how it's burnt it in that way. It's left these bits, so it's not completely burnt off, or it depends on level of burning. How far it's got through it and stuff like. Yana in India. I think we showed some of them before, but I found some more. So I've got here. That's a tree. It does look like, building-esque again, but it's also very tree-esque. So, and again, the burnt out element, you know what I mean? The remains of that trunk, which is just sticking out of the ground. Bottom of the trunk's probably buried, which most things are. This trunk has got all of them that walnut things on this picture. Turning to them lines there like a grill. Straight lines are quite long, you know what I mean, compared to everything else, but just like little squares and stuff like. So we'll compare it to that. It's another pattern which fits with it. That fits. That fits. As that does as well. It should knock off, and part 6 should start, but I'll carry on filming and see if it does it in one. It's usually about this time where it does it. But these are really good for showing that burnt wood, you know what I mean? Some sticks sticking out of the ground. Cancel. Another angle at the same one, I think. So, burnt tree stumps. That's the main theme of the study kind of thing.